What's up, everybody? Justin here to do another episode of my countdown series of videos, top 5, top 10s. Check them out in my countdown playlist. This countdown is, of course, today's Black Friday, but you already know that. I was shopping like 6-7 hours with my girlfriend. She would not leave. She kept wanting to go to more stores, looking at stuff forever. It was really boring, but I guess that's what I do. That's what I do for love, I guess. Anyways, hopefully you had a good Black Friday. Hopefully you have a good weekend. And hopefully you enjoy this countdown video. It's a top 5 best things about ECW, the top 5 best things about ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling. I was a huge fan of ECW, especially when I was a teenager. When I first saw it in '98, when I was 14 years old. Then I saw it more and more in '99, 2000. I mean, I ordered just about every pay-per-view in 99 and 2000. I didn't have a job at 15, but my mother paid for the pay-per-views. Anyways, as a teenager, 15, 16-year-old, I mean, ECW was what I wanted to see as a fan. It was exactly what I wanted to see. I loved it. I was a mark for ECW, and I loved it. So this is the best things, in my opinion, top 5 best things about ECW, top 5 best things they basically did. In their short run as a company, they're around 7 years, I think, 93 until 2001 when they went out of business. So, I got this idea for this show, for the best things about ECW. I got the idea from actually watching the network and watching the ECW authentic story. Paul Heyman, Taz, Tommy Dreamer, the Dudleys, they were talking around the table about old ECW stories on the network. It just came out on Monday after Raw. So watching that show, I got emotional, I got sad when they were talking about the good times of ECW. I got emotional, and I got tears came in my eyes, but I didn't cry, but I had tears in my eyes. So, watching that show, the authentic story of ECW, watching that on the network really made me think about ECW and all the good things they did for wrestling. They revolutionized wrestling, in my opinion. So number 5, the best things about ECW, top 5, number 5 is pure wrestling and great technical wrestling. It wasn't just all violence. It wasn't all just hardcore bloodshed, chairs and tables breaking. It wasn't all that. It was great technical, pure wrestling from guys like, for example, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, Taz, Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn, Lance Storm, Chris Candido, Chris Jericho was there for a while. Not that long, but he was still there. Shane Douglas, he was a great worker. Too Cold Scorpio, he was a great worker. Sabu could actually technical wrestle, believe it or not. He was a good wrestler. So, I'm sure there's a few more names I'm missing that were pretty damn good wrestlers, pure wrestlers and technical wrestlers. Guys like Al Snow, he was in ECW. Guys like Super Crazy and Tajiri, they were great pure wrestlers and pretty good technical wrestlers also. It wasn't just all violence. There was a lot of great wrestling, especially in 99 when Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn had their feud. They had epic, great matches. Great wrestling matches. My number 4 is Lucha Libre. ECW brings Lucha Libre to America, and the fans get to see it for the first time ever. Rey Mysterio, Psychosis, Juventud Guerrero, even Conan. They all came to ECW in 95, and Lucha Libre was brought into the United States. Number 3, the roster's passion. The ECW's roster's passion also. Paul Heyman as the head of it. Paul Heyman as the man in control, motivating his talent. So my number 3 is the entire ECW's roster's passion, because they had tremendous passion, and Paul Heyman's vision as the head of the company to just, he can motivate anybody. Paul Heyman could motivate his talent in ECW to do just about anything for basically no money. Some guys got paid, some didn't. Paul Heyman could probably talk them into doing anything, being butt-ass naked and jumping on top of fire. That's probably what they would have done for Paul Heyman, because he was such a great motivator. You could say he wasn't maybe you don't think he was a great motivator. I do. Maybe you think he was a con man, and that he ripped a lot of people off. Did he? Yes. He lied to the wrestlers? Yes. But he never lied to the fans. Never lied to the fans. So my number 3 is the roster's passion and Paul Heyman as the head of that. My number 2 was the realism. The realism of ECW. A lot of the matches, and a lot of the high spots, a lot of the bumps, and a lot of the violence, and a lot of the wrestling, it looked realistic to me. It looked damn real to me. A lot of it was, real. Talking about guys like Bam Bam Bigelow lifting up Spike Dudley, throwing him in the crowd. There's nothing fake about that. If the fans didn't catch Spike, he would have fell on the concrete and could have died. Could have cracked his head on the concrete. But luckily, the fans in the ECW arena caught Spike. Also, ECW, it felt different when I watched it. It didn't feel like WWF. It didn't feel like WCW. It felt more real to me. The product, the company was just more realistic than the other companies. Also, not just the realism, but the action and the violence. I really enjoyed the violence and the realism of ECW and the pay-per-views. So my number 2 is the realistic wrestling, the realistic, mature storylines, the action and the violence, and the pay-per-view events. I've never seen a bad pay-per-view from ECW, and I've seen them all. The only pay-per-view out of ECW I thought wasn't that good was Hardcore Heaven 97. It wasn't that good because they had lighting problems, they had lighting issues. The lighting for the pay-per-view was shit. But other than that, other than Hardcore Heaven 97, all the other pay-per-views, in my opinion, were action-packed and pretty damn good. My number 1, best thing about ECW, my number 1 was the promos. The promos were epic. From these guys, the promos were epic. From the Dudleys, Raven, New Jack, Taz, Cactus Jack, and Terry Funk, even Shane Douglas. He did great promos. But he kind of swore too much, but whatever. The promos is my number 1. Even Tommy Dreamer, he did good promos in ECW. Even the Sandman, when he talked, he did decent promos. Steve Austin. Steve Austin came from WCW after he's fired. Paul Heyman gave him the platform to speak his mind and get a lot of it off his back, a lot of his anger towards WCW off his back. So Paul Heyman gave Steve Austin a microphone, and the promos were gold. They were tremendous promos. Steve Austin cut epic promos in ECW. They were very, very good. And we never really heard Steve Austin talk that much when he was in WCW for 3-4 years he was there. He didn't talk that much at all. He never really got the opportunity to cut promos. So when Steve Austin got the opportunity and Paul Heyman told him, talk about whatever you want, go ahead and just shoot, Steve Austin, he shot alright. He shot off and he shooted towards WCW, Eric Bischoff, Dusty Rhodes, and a lot of the bookers that were in control in WCW. And you could say Steve Austin and Paul Heyman giving him that opportunity, and ECW could say Stone Cold Steve Austin was born. His character, how he talked, how he cut promos, how he did interviews. You could definitely say Steve Austin and Stone Cold Steve Austin character was born in ECW. I believe it was. Just go back, listen to those Steve Austin promos in ECW, and you try to tell me that he did not sound like Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he did to me. So number one best thing about ECW was the promos, in my opinion. So that's my top 5 best things about ECW. I love that ECW's on the network. Every single TV episode is on the network. You know, from 93, 94, 95, 6, 7, 8, 99, 2000. All the episodes are on the network. And that's a great thing, because I'm a big ECW fan. Hope you enjoyed this countdown, top 5 best things about ECW. Have a great weekend, everybody.